everyone. Welcome to Homeschool Joy. Wanted to hear a little bit more about tutorials like I promised from the other video that we talked about co-ops. Okay, so tutorials. This is all about tutorials. Now, a tutorial is a group of classes which are taught by usually someone who is specialized in the area in which they're teaching, such as they may be a prior biology instructor and they're deciding to teach biology to homeschoolers. You could have somebody who is teaching an elective, such as a high school level sociology class, that maybe they have a degree in sociology, such as myself. Whereas with co-ops, you may get a mom who just loves English, but was never an English major, or maybe never even thought about teaching English until they started homeschooling. So this is a difference where tutorials become a lot more costly because now you're paying for instructors. This is no longer a parent wanting to volunteer and kind of say, oh, let me just do this extra. They actually are getting paid as instructors, most tutorials. So your expense is going to go up. So one thing I try to get people to do is never compare a co-op versus a tutorial. They are two separate entities, and the only thing that they pretty much have in common is that they offer classes outside of the home for your homeschooler. Now, a tutorial may start anywhere from kindergarten and go all the way up to the 12th grade. The tutorials that my children participate in, one goes from, I would say, 7th grade to 12th grade, and then there's another one that my son attended that went from 1st grade to 6th grade. So the tutorials are a place where you usually drop your children off. This is not somewhere where you would be required to stay and be on site. It's usually a drop-off, and with the drop-off, you're expected to, of course, be back by the time the day is over or their classes are over. Now, some people take tutorials and take the majority of their courses there. It is not abnormal either for someone to come and just take 1 or 2 classes that they may need and do the rest of their homeschooling at home. Now, one thing to keep in mind, because sometimes I feel like it can be a big misconception, is that if you are sending your child to a tutorial, that is all the schooling that they need. Let me say this again. It is not. It is not. They need you at home as much as you're supposed to be teaching them. A lot of times a tutorial will usually meet twice a week. There are some that meet once a week, and the times vary. They can start as early as 8:39 a.m. and end at about 3 o'clock p.m. Now, with the tutorial, you also want to keep in mind that some have half-day programs. I know the elementary one that my son participated in went from, I believe it was 8:30 a.m. to 12:40 is the time that he got out. But that usually is a drop-off, but you need to be there on time to pick up your child. Now, another thing to consider with a tutorial is how serious are you about the academic structure for your homeschooling. A tutorial will bring a lot of academic structure, at least it should, meaning that there will be homework assignments that are expected to be completed, whereas a co-op, you usually will not find homework. And then you may find that a teacher, or let me correct myself, tutors, they're called tutors because they are not giving the full instruction of a teacher. So a tutor may require your child to do some homework, but with a tutorial, it is expected. Whereas a co-op, it may not be expected. So they'll have homework assignments, they will have quizzes and tests, and the one part that I really appreciate about homeschool tutorials is that they actually keep grades. Did you hear me? So that is what I really enjoy, is the part that I don't have to get stuck with grading their paper, but the tutorial will actually do the grading. So that means that a lot of times when the work is completed, then they do have to turn it in. So I really think that tutorials are a great fit for your homeschooling. I'll give you an example of the social side to a tutorial. A lot of times they'll have yearbooks. They may have a student government to give your child that leadership experience, to let them see what it is like to actually run for an office of government. There's a lot of things that are open to homeschoolers within a tutorial. They may have pizza day where everybody gets together, they order pizza. I know at my daughter's tutorial they have Chick-fil-A day, which is a huge hit. But there's a lot of activities outside of homeschooling that the tutorials usually include. They may have outings to amusement parks in the summer, or maybe to go watch a movie together if it's a new release that's very popular and, of course, preteen, teenage friendly. So the social aspect is very good. There is usually like a lunch hour where all the kids are able to get together and kind of hang out and just be teens who happen to be homeschooled but do have a need to have a social side outside of their homeschooling. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the silliest thing that I always hear from most people who don't understand homeschooling is, well, what do you do about the social side? Because my children do a lot of activities, even outside of a tutorial, where they are very social and can carry on conversations with children and adults as well. So don't take that the wrong way when I said that it's an opportunity for them to socialize. So I think also that tutorials just bring a structure that I know my homeschooling children needed. They were looking for something, I was looking for something, because again, I have told you before that my children are all college bound. I don't really think they have an option. They can be entrepreneurs as much as they would love to be, but I just need them to be entrepreneurs with a degree. I mean, that's all I'm asking. But with all of that being said, I think tutorials are great. They really kind of get your children in gear to meet the requirements necessary to be able to be a successful student outside of homeschooling. Now, one thing I will want to caution you about, there are all types of tutorials out there. You have some that can be pretty much just subject-based, some that are the classical approach, some that can be just African-American based. There's an array of tutorials out there. But one thing I want you to keep in mind is if you ever feel like you're getting to a place where the tutorial is taking over your homeschooling or what you want your homeschooling to look like, that is the perfect opportunity to take a step back and kind of evaluate, is this really the direction that you want to move in? One thing I would suggest if you ever find yourself in that type of situation is maybe back off with some of the courses. Maybe don't take 4 or 5 courses in a tutorial. Maybe scale back to just 1 or 2 so that you can still have the flexibility to do your homeschooling the way that you desire. Because it is possible for the tutorial to kind of take over and take on a nature of itself, and that may not be the direction that you want your homeschooling to go in. I know that for my daughter who was into fashion design, I made sure that I was able to get her courses that would get her ready for a fashion design, fashion merchandising career. She's actually majoring in fashion merchandising. And she was able to participate in a program that was held at GW Library, and it was a group of homeschool students, and they were able to utilize the library and find out about different materials and fabric and textures and colors and designs. And we had the flexibility to be able to take that class along with her taking classes at a tutorial. In comparison to a co-op, You could pay $50 a year for an entire family for a co-op, but you have to keep in mind the level of responsibility that you're going to have to carry in being a part of a co-op, meaning that you may be the one teaching the class, you may be the one assisting, you may be the one wherever help is needed to be that help. So whereas a tutorial, all of that is covered. You still may have to do a parent duty assignment, meaning help check the kids in or help clean up in the evening at the end of the day, but nothing where you're required to actually be the instructor. So again, that's where the cost and price usually increases just due to that reason. So I love tutorials. I think they are great. I used to be a director of a tutorial for a little over 5 years, and it was a wonderful, wonderful process. I was able to help people who felt like they couldn't even possibly know where to start in homeschooling, and giving them a start, a comfortable base. It was a very, very good fit. So I'm very in love with tutorials, and I really am thankful that they exist and for the benefit that they've offered my children academically. And also just the option of being available to meet up with other moms. That's another thing. You get the social aspect to kind of connect with other moms and get to know them and maybe set up a lunch date. I've done that before with a group of moms just to hang out. I actually knew my phone was going to go off. I knew it even before I set it over there. So, hold on just a second. Hello? I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry for the interruption. But anyway, whatever you do, don't forget to have joy in your homeschool. Also, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I have new information. I am on Instagram under I Am Homeschool Joy. So this is Tish Marie, and I'll see you next time. Take care.